What's that old saying? Hurting people hurt people. Well, okay, so what does that mean? Happy people help people. That's the opposite of that. So if someone's going to hurt me, they're hurting. So I might as well look at them as a hurting person instead of fighting them or arguing with them or dealing with them the next 5, 10, 20, 30 years of your life trying to deal with something that was said. Get rid of it and trade judgment over that person for mercy.
Welcome back to the Man Maker Show. We are dedicated to helping men become stronger and more intentional leaders because the fight in every man's life is real and you were created to overcome. We know that hard times make better men, and through adversity, we find our inner warrior. Thanks for showing up and opening your mind in order to make your future greater than your past. Here's your host, Brad Walgamot.
Welcome back to the Man Maker Show. Hope you're doing great. Bradley Wolgamott coming to you once again. I hope you're doing awesome. I know I always say that, but I can't help it. My biggest goal is that you realize how amazing you are, how important you are, how needed you are. I think the world's done a really good job of beating you up, beating me up. I can remember times in my life where I thought, what's the point? Nobody loves me. Everybody hates me. I'm going to eat some worms. I can remember laying in bed going, really? All these years? All the good I did, and then you make some horrible mistakes, and now it's over? We can believe the lie. Don't believe it. It's not true. It's not over. As we discussed in our last episode, today is what the rest of your life's beginning looks like. It's not that cute, warm, fuzzy, oh, today's the first day of the rest of your life. It sounds like rainbows and butterflies. The reality is that the beginning of a great future looks ugly. It looks disastrous oftentimes because it isn't until we find ourselves in a really bad place that we start asking the right questions. And so I'm going to piggyback on a little bit on the last episode that we shared with you, a little bit about the keys to getting back up and getting going and getting your mind right and putting yourself in a position to get honest with yourself and answer some honest questions. But I'm going to talk to you about something I've developed over the years, and it's called reflect, eject, collect, connect. And there are basically 4 stages, and I'm going to add a 5th caveat tonight because I just feel like it's worth adding on to. We'll see if we have enough time, but I want to talk to you a little bit about the power of reflection, okay? Now, I'm going to be honest with you, that's not my strength, okay? I'm not a good sitter. I'm not a good reflector, meaning I'm not really good at doing nothing. But I read a study recently about a group of corporate executives that were in a training program, and they were challenged on a variety of topics and subjects. And then they were going to have a test to see how much they retained and how much they learned, how much they grew through the training. And before they did the test, they were given the opportunity to either just rest and reflect and think openly about what they learned, or they could go out and work and study and what we'll call practice, put it to work a little bit. And they were just given a very short period of time. So some people could go back in the books and read and grind, or they could get in groups and work back and forth and role play, or others could sit there and just reflect. They were given a choice. Out of the 100%, 82% of them said, I want to go and meet with people and practice this and go to work on it. Only 18% said, I want to reflect. Now, I'll be honest with you. My instincts would have been said, yeah, that's for the weak people. That's for the softies. They just want to sit around and hope it works out. Because I have a bit of a cynical mindset about today's people that don't work hard. But I stand corrected that there's a great value, because the results turned out that those that took the time to honestly reflect scored 20% higher in all than those that went and continued to grind it out. I can remember my brother studying in med school, and I only would visit him a few times and only had a little bit of time with him, but I remember him trying to memorize like the body, muscles and veins. And they had all these words that would connect them. And they would be like, R is this, and E is this, and D is this. And they had ways of memorizing. And it was insane, the amount of things they had to learn. Every bone, every muscle, every vein, every artery. It was unbelievable. And I'm like, there is no way on God's green earth I could be a doctor, let alone I cannot handle that kind of work, but there's no way I could pass the memory test. But I realized that what he was able to do was in taking time to reflect, he got stronger. So there's a value in learning to reflect. And I want to challenge you to make that a regular practice, 15 minutes a day. I'm in a group of adults right now that one of the challenges is to take 15 minutes a day and pray. And I'm challenged by that because I rarely take 15 minutes to do anything of that nature. Although I love to read, I love to listen, but I'm very purposeful. But prayer is like doing nothing, which is not my strength. But I'm learning to find peace in this. And that's the idea of reflection. It might be prayer, it might just be quiet time, but take time to just openly think. Take 15 minutes. Because evidently, according to the study, those that take the time to reflect have a deeper understanding of the information they're asked to consume, and they're better at applying it because they've been able to reflect versus just going out and put it into work. Part of reflection is the exercise of gratefulness. And we all know the value of this. If we don't know the value of this, you need to learn the value of this, because what gratefulness does is it puts you in a position of hope. That's what it did for me. When I got grateful, it put me into a place where I could hope for a better future. When I was grateful, it put me in a place where I hoped that people could see me in a better light someday. When I was grateful, it put me in a place to where I could hope that over time, life could be very, very different. Gratefulness changes the atmosphere. It changes your spirit. It places you into a body chemistry place where opportunity begins to unfold. When the opposite of hope, which might be complete depression, places you where you can't listen, you can't learn, you can't grow, you can't change, you can't receive, you've shut down. So hope is an incredibly important thing. Gratefulness allows us to do that. It teaches us to do that. And then the third part of reflection is we get into what I talked about in the last episode, is we are able to ask ourselves, how did I get here? Why did this happen? What part do I need to own? What parts do I need to recognize that I gave myself permission to make that choice, or I went down that slippery slope with no intention of the big fall, but the baby steps led to one more baby step that led to a disaster? Common. And I think most of you know what I'm talking about. If you don't know what I'm talking about, one day you probably will, unfortunately. So asking yourself why, taking time 15 minutes a day to reflect might be the secret sauce, the medicine to keep you from making that great fall, so that you can get honest with little decisions you're making daily that are giving yourself permission, right? I counsel a lot of people through porn addictions and so forth, and the slippery slope starts off with Instagram or Facebook with supermodels or bikini girls, and it's just, it bombards them. And they're like, well, that's not porn. Okay, well, not really, but yes. And it leads down to this, it leads to that, it leads to that, it leads to that. Next thing you know, there you go. It might be something as simple as that. When you're an alcoholic, you really shouldn't ever be around alcohol until you are years into sobriety. You shouldn't just, why tempt yourself? Why put yourself in that situation? It's the slippery slope. A lot of alcoholics deal with justifiable anger towards somebody else, justifiable resentment. And if they allow themselves to get into resentful or a blaming or an anger, or they get into a season of denial or little lies, those are the little slippery slopes that lead them down the road that lead them to, well, I might as well just drink. I've already broken these 15 rules. And even though each one rule was such a little thing, it was no big deal, it was a big deal because that's the slippery slope. And reflection on a daily basis enables you to go, okay, yeah, no, I need to change that behavior. I need to delete that. I need to change that friend. I need to adjust that situation. I need to get away from that. If we don't do that, we find ourselves in a very difficult place. The second step is part of reflection, but it's called Eject. And the purpose of eject is, what things do you not need to own? What things are not your fault? What things do you not need to say, I'm a bad person, right? And this is a very important place, because we could eject things that we need to own. We need to recognize this is our one-on-one, us against us, mano y mano, man on man, me on me. And what I mean by that is, don't lie to yourself. Right? Denial delays. Denial delays your personal growth. Denial changes your ability to make the adjustments. If you're in denial, your chances of making any adjustments get dramatically delayed. You have to come to that place to where you own it. But I think in today's world, most people own too much. Most people have spent most of life fighting off something that was spoken over them as a child, right? I can remember my dad saying some pretty horrible things about me when I was dealing with puberty, and calling me words and names I won't share with you, because my dad's passed away and I love him, and my brothers and sisters may listen to this, so I don't really want to go down that road. But there were some things that were said to me that he probably didn't mean it. He was probably trying to make a point to scare me to change. He was probably trying to express love in a way that came across in a way that didn't sound very loving, so I'm not going to do a judgment. But I spent years fighting that argument that I'm not that kind of person, right? And it ultimately became somewhat of a self-fulfilling prophecy that I ended up dealing with a variety of personal sexual issues as an adult. And maybe it's because I was more aware of that issue when I was in puberty, and I never figured it out. I never dealt with it. I never overcame it. I never got proper help or counseling. I never was able to address it and get honest with it. I don't really know. All I know is that I wasn't able to eject that spoken word of me. I wasn't able to eject that belief system, and it carried me into the future. And that's a hard thing, and I know many men deal with this in their own private ways. And I get it. I do. But we have to learn to hit the eject button. I can't tell you how many times I'd be on my riding lawnmower in my home in North Bend arguing with people that were no longer part of my life, but I was having a 30, 40, 50-minute argument, that delayed intelligence. I wish I'd said that. I should have said this. I should have done that. Man, if I did that again, blah, blah, I would have said this. It's a disaster. So if we don't learn to eject, we find ourselves stuck. We find ourselves in judgment. We find ourselves mad at someone. It's like resentment. What is that? It's like drinking Kool-Aid, trying to kill the other person. Resentment, that's what it is. We got to learn to trade that judgment for mercy. If we have an issue with someone, instead of being mad at them, instead of blaming them, instead of fighting them, we need to eject that spoken thing over us and trade judgment for mercy. You see, if someone truly loved God, if someone truly loved you, if someone truly wanted your best, they would only speak positive word, prophetic word, good word. They would only encourage you. So since they're speaking negative, that means they're not living in a place of joy. They're not working from a place of complete healing. And so we should have mercy for them, right? What's that old saying? Hurting people hurt people. Well, okay, so what does that mean? Happy people help people. That's the opposite of that. So if someone's going to hurt me, they're hurting. So I might as well look at them as a hurting person instead of fighting them or arguing with them or dealing with them the next 5, 10, 20, 30 years of your life trying to deal with something that was said. Get rid of it and trade judgment over that person for mercy. Mercy puts you in a place where you begin to pray for them. When you pray for them, you're praying for yourself. When you release them, you're releasing yourself, right? Forgiveness doesn't mean the event never happens. Forgiveness means the event no longer controls you. It no longer has an emotional soul tie in you. It no longer directs who you are and how you think and what you do and what you say. It no longer has this battle, this war raging inside of you that's trying to fight this. You put the eject button. I'm not fighting that father, that father-in-law, that brother, that school teacher, that coach, that mentor, that neighborhood person, right? I can think of times, horribly speaking, when I was a kid and the 4 or 5 of us would gang up on this one kid and we'd bully him. Oh my gosh. I mean, turns out that guy turned into Atlas and just got super amazing. He was incredibly successful. He was a multi-millionaire today. So maybe our bullying made him strong, so he was something great. But I'm going to tell you something, without a doubt, I feel terrible the fact that I had that kind of a self-image that I would try to make myself feel stronger by telling other people down. If people are tearing you down, it's because they are weak and they are low self-image, and you should give them no room, no authority, and hit the eject button. Get rid of it. So if you take the time to reflect, it'll help you understand what you need to eject. Then you move into stage 3, and that is to collect. And what I mean by collect is you need to begin to build a new thought process, right? Who am I, right? There's a saying that was given to me years ago, and it says, Brad, you cannot afford to have a thought in your heart and mind about yourself that is inconsistent with God's opinion of you. And God's opinion of you is good. He sees you as his son. He loves you. He's all about you. He's for you. Regardless of what you've done, what he sees is who he created in you, and that's the image that you need to grow into. Grow into who he sees you as. And I'm not trying to be a preacher here tonight, but my point in this is that as I'm going to begin to collect new data, I need to begin to collect a new opinion of who I am. And I can remember people in my life. There was a man named Jimmy Head who would send me a message and say, I love you, buddy. Just as simple as that. Just, I love you, buddy. And you know, that may sound simple and stupid and silly, man to man, but for me, I felt unlovable. I felt unloved. I felt very abandoned. It made a huge impact in my life that someone actually thought that way. I can remember Tim Goad sending me a message, hey, buddy, just praying for you. I'm like, what? Awesome. Thanks, I think. I don't know. I didn't know what to do with it. Have you ever been so broken that you don't even know what to do with compliments? You don't even know what to do with grace? It's so foreign to you because you've hammered yourself or been hammered so much that even grace seems fake. It's a sad place to be, but it's real. So as we begin to collect new realities, we need to start asking the right questions. And the questions is, if I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be, to learn exactly what I need to know, in order to get exactly what I'm asked for, okay, I'm collecting what do I need to learn from this experience, right? And one of the things I've learned through my painful experience is how to help people that are either in or about to go in or coming out of the same situations I've been in. I'm supposed to learn how to make sure I don't go through 2.0 and put myself into a repeat situation because it happens a lot. So as I take time to reflect, and I do my eject, which is an important thing to do. Again, I caution you on the eject button because you don't want to get caught in the blaming, in the condemnation, in those sons of guns. You got to get rid of it, but when you get rid of it, you got to leave it in the garbage can, not keep picking it up and showing everybody. See the garbage I had? Let me tell you how victimized I was. Let's see the garbage. Here it is. And what I found in my life is time anybody wants to reconnect with me, they want to go through the garbage can again. Oh, tell me about this person. Tell me about that person. What happened there? Oh my gosh, well, how about that guy? They want to open up the garbage can, go through the garbage can. You know, I've decided no more garbage can opening. Don't let them. Don't you do it. Don't let them do it. Start building the new you. What are you reading right now? What are you journaling right now? Journaling has become one of the most important things to me. I've learned that when I read, if I don't journal, it's just eyeballs across words. Have you ever read a whole page and about to flip the page you go, I don't remember a thing on that page? Because you went off and traveled somewhere and you thought about something else. Maybe you were fighting somebody or having another argument or I don't know what you were doing, but you don't remember. Happens a lot, doesn't it? When I read, I write notes in the margins, and then when I get finished reading, I take what I've written and I put it into a journal. And this helps me grab it. It also helps me harness it. Because I'm not just looking to be smart. I'm not just looking to be informational. I want to be transformational. I don't want to just learn and sound smart. I want to be a person that can impart onto people what's happened. I want to share with them from my soul what's happened so that they can be better. They can avoid the issues. They can be great. It's not about changing someone's opinion of me. It's about helping someone develop a better opinion of themselves. And when I do that, honestly, I have a better opinion of myself. But that doesn't happen because of what I say about me. It happens because of how I can help them think and feel about themselves. That's where the true deep change. And that's why I'm a big fan of having a mentor in your life. One of my next episodes will be on the importance of mentorship and how to harness mentorship and the value in it. And I've talked about it many times in the past, but you need to have people in your life that you trust that can take the floor, right? That can actually answer. And one of the great issues I've seen with people is you gotta stop talking sometimes, right? Just Stop talking or ask a question and listen. Why is it so difficult for people to take advice? I think for some reason, I think it's because our parents yelled at us so much as kids. Listen to me. Do what I say. I'm big, you're small. I'm powerful, you're weak. What I say goes, and that's the deal. And maybe they didn't say it with that tone, but that was certainly, as children, we were taught to respect our parents and so forth. And so forth. Therefore, what they said had to become the law. And so therefore, as we become adults, we stop asking questions because we don't want to be in that position of weakness. You're missing, you're 100% missing the value in being mentored. Being mentored means you gather their opinion. God's word says a man of many counselors is wise in all his ways. Many counselors. We're not looking for a boss. We're not looking for a mandatory, you do as I say, you must follow my word. And if you have a mentor that demands that, get a new mentor. Get rid of them. That's ridiculous. My advice is take my advice, other people's advice, add advice, and then make your own decision, because only when it's your decision will you own it. I know it's a play on words, but until you make your own decision, you won't own your own decision. It's just a reality. You just create false harmony. You just do what you need to do until you're out of trouble, or you do what you need to do to make that mentor feel like, oh, look, they're doing what I said. Aren't they great? I'm so proud of them because they did what I said. It's garbage. It's not real. So let me just be honest with you. If you're going to be in the collection season, then collect. Ask questions and be willing to listen. And when someone gives you an answer, please, dear God, don't say, yeah, I'm already doing that. Oh, yeah, well, here's what I'm doing. Well, yeah, that's really great, but here's what No. You don't need to justify. If you disagree, just say, man, thanks for the feedback. That's really powerful. I'm going to give that some thought. Or if you really feel it's really valuable, then say, tell me more. Go deeper on that. Can I ask some questions so I really further understand? If you're going to justify your position, you didn't listen. If you're going to get defensive, you didn't listen. It's a waste of everybody's time. There's no sense even asking a question if you're not going to be willing to listen. And I'm going to get in this deep when I talk about mentorship in future episodes. But stop talking, start listening, be coachable, be guidable, attend events if you can. If you have an opportunity to be at an organizational event, I love going to functions. And I don't care if it's John Maxwell or if it's a motivational function or if it's a bunch of business leaders. I love listening to speakers because it's just like, I don't know, watering a plant with the best fertilizer there is. I just feel like that's the place where I can get fed and filled up the most. And that's part of the fourth stage that we call connection. You know, the more hurt you are, the less likely you are to connect. But the more important it is. This is a big deal. Typically when we've been hurt by people. And oftentimes we've hurt people, and then we have been hurt by people. Sometimes you just straight up have been hurt by people. I have been hurt by a lot of people. I have hurt a lot of people. That's just an unfortunate truth about my life, and it more than likely is true for a lot of you. Some of you have lived such a good life, you haven't hurt many people. Well, you're probably young, because it will happen, because you're going to live a life of imperfections. It's just going to happen. But hope to God you don't make a lot of them. But in the terms of developing these deep connections, you got to have a workout partner. You got to have an accountability partner. You got to have someone that's not afraid to tell you their opinion. That doesn't mean you have to follow it. It doesn't mean it's absolute, but you need people that can speak to you honestly. And it is rare. Most people don't have a single person in their life like that. They have nobody in their life that feels 100% comfortable telling you what to think. In fact, I don't know if I know anybody. I'd have to really think if I know anybody that can really handle straight conversation. And that's sad to me. And then there's a few that are close, but maybe it's my fault, right? Maybe I just suck at being able to communicate directly. But most people get defensive. Most will make excuses. Most people don't really listen. They start talking over you and tell you all the things that they're doing right and all the things they're doing. And as a result, they really can never get any feedback. And not that I'm that wise or all-knowing, all-powerful. I'm not. But I do have of many, many years, decades and decades of experience and life of failure and success and getting knocked down and getting back up and building organizations of thousands of people and doing things around the world. That sounds like a bragging little pitch of myself. I don't mean it that way, but it's not my first rodeo, and I've been around a little bit. So I think I do have some things that can really help people, but it's amazing to me how many people really just don't feel safe. And I know that the reason people don't feel safe is because they've been hurt by people. But has the person that's speaking to you honestly hurt you? If that's the case, then guard what you listen to. But if they have earned your trust, if they haven't hurt you, if they haven't burned you, if they've been by your side, had your six, been with you through all kinds of times, give them the floor and let them be honest with you. Don't put them in some kind of a fear like you're going to get mad at them, or like maybe they think, well, gosh, if I tell you the truth, you won't like me, so we can't be friends, and they want to be your friend, and they value your friendship more than your personal gain, and that's a pretty sad reality, but that happens a lot. People don't tell you the truth because they don't want to lose your friendship. They value your friendship more than telling you the truth. That's a bad place to be. But maybe that's your fault. Maybe you made it so awkward for people to tell you the truth that they don't tell you the truth. I don't know. But I want to see you connect. I want to see you go through some great things in your life to where you all of a sudden start walking in that super grateful, forward progress, growing, active. I can use my pain to become a better person. I can use my life to help other people become better people. I can put myself in a position where my life has mattered. Maybe learning how to donate your time, right? Maybe you start working at a Boys and Girls Club. Maybe go down to hospitals and donate your time. Connect with some children. Connect with elderly. Connect with people that you just love on them. The best medicine for the soul is to serve other people. So maybe you need to connect with some people that need you to love on them. But take a chance and go deep. And, well, what if they hurt me? Well, then you're going to get back up again. And you're going to have one more case of being hurt. That's one more story to tell in the future about how great it is to be strong and bold because you overcame one more piece of pain. You're not going to get what you want by playing it safe and protecting yourself from being hurt. You're just going to find yourself isolated and miserable. Does that make sense? And so the last step I would make with you is expect, right? You got to reflect, you got to eject, you got to collect, you got to connect, and then you got to expect. And what does that mean? Expect good things to happen. I'm in a couple of different groups, and we meet on a weekly basis, and I really love being in them. But the expectation of great change is so low for these people. And I will promise you, you'll never rise above your level of expectation. I said this before, but I had a person I coached with years ago, and their mom was really struggling in life. And her mantra was, high hopes are just disappointments waiting to happen. And I thought that was the most miserable statement I'd ever heard. What happens without hope? You need to expect to win. Expect to make the shot. I play golf with a good friend of mine, Fenton, and he's one of the best putters I've ever seen. And when I watch him putt, he steps up against people make putts like this every day. Just another 15-footer to save par. And I cannot believe how many go in because he expects to. He expects to make the putt. His expectations allow him to relax in the middle of his performance, so he executes at a very high level. Expect your life to be awesome. Expect favor. Expect prosperity. Expect grace. Expect love. Don't expect it like you deserve it, like you're entitled. Just have hopes. Don't walk around going, it's going to be great. And then when it's not, like, bummer for you. I thought we were going to be bros. I thought good things were going to happen, but oh well, we'll move on. So can you do that? Can you get yourself in that mode? Can you take some time to reflect? Can you get rid of the crap? Can you do that? Can you start being mentored and collecting a new understanding of who you are and the things you need to do to really begin to change? Can you go deeper in your connections and can you initiate some expectations and change your cadence? How about a smile? How about a little hope? How about a little hitch in your step? What's wrong with that? What's wrong with being happy, having good vibes? What? Why not? It's way more fun, I promise you that. But that's up to you. I hope you can get there. I love you. I want you to be a great man. I want you to be significant. I want you to make an impact. And I hope I can be part of that in some small way. Bradley Wogelmott, signing off from the Man Maker Show.